time again for Game of the Week. And what game am I playing this week? It's All Out War in Battling Midway's Wizard of Wor. Wizard of Wor is an arcade game released in 1980 by Midway. Up to 2 players fight together in a series of monster-infested mazes, clearing each maze by shooting the creatures. The game was ported to a number of systems, including the Atari 8-bit family, Commodore 64, Atari 2600, Atari 5200, and probably the best version for the home I ever played was called The Incredible Wizard for the Bally Astrocade. The original game cartridge came with a cash prize offer to the first person to complete the game. The player's characters are called warriors, must kill all the monsters by shooting them. Player 1 has yellow warriors on the right side, and player 2 has the blue warriors on the left side. In a 2-player game, the players are also able to shoot each other's warriors, earning bonus points and causing the other player to lose a life. Team-oriented players can successfully advance through the game by standing back-to-back, such as in a corner, trying anything that comes at them. Each dungeon consists of a single-screen rectangular grid with walls and corridors in various formations. The warriors and the monsters can travel freely throughout the corridors. Each dungeon has a door to the left and right edges, which connect with each other, making the dungeon a warp around. Whenever a door is traversed by a player or a monster, both doors deactivate for a short period of time, making them impassable. A player who exits the door can pop back through the door immediately when the warlock or wizard is in the dungeon. A small radar display indicates the positions of all active monsters. As long as a player has at least 1 life in reserve, a backup warrior is displayed in a small sealed cubbyhole at the corresponding bottom corner of the dungeon. When the current warrior is killed, the cubbyhole opens up and a player has 10 seconds to move the backup into play before automatically being forced in. The various monsters include the following: Bruwar, a blue wolf-type creature; Garwar, a yellow Tyrannosaurus Rex type of creature; Thorwar, a red scorpion-like creature; Warlork, an insectoid-type creature; Wizard of Wor, a blue wizard. Both Garwars and Thorwars have the ability to turn invisible at times, but always appear on the radar. All enemies except the Warlock can shoot at the warriors. Each dungeon starts filled with 6 Burwars. In the first dungeon, killing the last Burwar will make our Garwar appear, and the second and last 2 Burwars are replaced by Garwars when killed, and so on. From the 6th dungeon on, Garwar will be replaced by a Burwar when killed. On every screen, killing a Garwar causes a Thorwar to appear. There will never be more than 6 enemies on screen at once. From the 2nd dungeon on, after the last Thorwar is killed, a Warlock will appear to try and escape one of the side doors. The level ends when the Warlock escapes or is killed. In the latter case, all point values for the dungeon are doubled. The Wizard of Wor will appear in or after the 2nd dungeon once the Warlock has either escaped or been killed. After a few seconds, the wizard will disappear and teleport across the dungeon, gradually approaching the warrior. The wizard remains in the dungeon until he shoots a warrior or is killed. He uses a speech synthesizer to taunt the players throughout the game.
Wizard of Wor, your science won't magic fear me.
The players are referred to as warriors during the first 7 levels, and then warlords beyond that point. The warlord dungeons are more difficult than the earlier levels because they have fewer interior walls. There are 2 special dungeons with increased difficulty. Level 4 is the arena, with a large open area in the center, and level 13 is the pit, with no interior walls at all. A bonus warrior is awarded before each of the levels. Every 6th dungeon after level 13 is another pit. A player who survives any pit level without losing a life earns the title of Warlord Supreme. Each dungeon begins with a dramatic rendition of the 5-note opening to Danger Ahead, the theme to the radio and television series Dragnet, with the 5th note only playing on double-score dungeon screens. Wizard of Wor was moderately successful in the arcades. When it went to the home, Electronic Games called the Atari 8-bit version outstanding. It similarly praised the arcade version, stating that while one person and competitive two-player was excellent, two people cooperating was a unique playing experience. Danny Goodman of Creative Computing and Video Arcade Games called The Incredible Wizard for the Astrocade an incredible good replica of Wizard of Wor. Danny Goodman of Creative Computing and Video Arcade Games called The Incredible Wizard for the Bally Astrocade an incredibly good replica of Wizard of Wor. Video Magazine 1982's Guide to Electronic Games agreed, calling it a near-perfect translation of the original arcade. It would go on to be awarded the best multiplayer game at the 4th Annual Arcade Awards, where it was described as the finest cartridge ever produced for the Astrocade. I have to totally agree. With all the home ports out there, the Bally Astrocade had the most near-perfect translation of the arcade, only missing speech, but the audio sound effects were near perfection. Outside of playing it MAME, which will give you a perfect arcade version, of course, the next best way would be the Bally Astrocade, but they are quite rare and are kind of prone to overheating and burning out. So any home port will be a good way to play
Wizard of Wor.
Well, that's it for this Game of the Week. Hope you enjoyed it. Remember to join us again next time for another game review. And remember, tell your family and friends that you love them. And in between those times, remember to game on.
I will another warrior. Ha 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 ha.